Welcome to the Road Hunters podcast. This is your go-to source for incredible stories, diverse perspectives, and a deep dive into the world of motorsport. I'm your host, Jonathan Bennett, and joining me on this adventure is also Mr. Andrew. Now, each week, we will bring you exclusive interviews with passionate individuals from all over all different aspects of the racing community. And our goal is to showcase incredible talents, the dedication, and the stories that make motorsport so special to us all. I'm thrilled to be an ambassador for Driven Minds. It's an organisation dedicated to promoting and providing mental health support across the motorsport community. If you ever see any of the Driven Minds lot, or myself included, make sure you come up to us and say hi. And together we're working to break down stigmas and raise awareness and ensure that everyone in the paddock has access to the resources and support they need to both thrive on and off the track. So buckle up, join us on this exciting journey as we explore the incredible world of motorsport, one story at a time. So don't forget to subscribe to the Road Hunters podcast on your favourite platform, the YouTube channel, which also has additional stuff, and follow us on social media for the latest updates and behind the scenes. And this season, I'm personally supported by EBC Brakes and Carbon Positive Motorsport. So now, let's dive into today's episode. Right, back with another week, and this time we are with Lorcan and Howard from Hands On Performance, who are a how do you describe it? A hand control sim racing, I suppose, development and product.
Yeah. So like sim racing equipment for people who don't have legs, I suppose, is the way we put it, or can't use them.
That's fair enough. So really excited by this one. I think it's a really kind of novel and sort of, a unique thing that's not really covered anywhere. Nobody's really kind of providing anything for that. And obviously, we have some incredible athletes out there, like Team Legless or even like some of the wheelchair motocross people who, there's a lot of sports and passionate people follow, and why is more things not being progressed kind of through. So I'm really happy to have you guys on board. I suppose an introduction to you guys as Hands On Performance initially, if you want to give us a little elevator pitch on just what your kind of product is and what your aim is, really. Then we'll go into more.
Yeah, well, our aim was initially, I suppose, was to be able to provide hand controls for sim racers. That started off as, obviously there is, as people you've mentioned, they're like Team Legless and stuff that are out racing, and we kind of felt that they were at a disadvantage because they couldn't go back and then practice for the rest of like everyone else was, Yeah,
absolutely.
So our first product that we have out, and you can see it on the handsonperformance.ie, is our HC1, which initially is a push-pull hand control. Now this is there's kind of a working prototype that we have. So the initial the HC1, it's a bit of janky there. We use it. It's rough and ready because we use it and abuse it. So you'd have your normal push to brake, pull to go. Now this one has been adapted. Obviously, there's a clutch lever, an accelerator, and 2 buttons there for gears. So this is kind of aimed at the drift rally kind of crowd. And like initial feedback is good because, the first thing they say is that thing's never going to break. Made from stainless steel. It's load cell.
I was going to say it looks like it's load cell.
So it gives the kind of the same kind of feel that the high end brake would get. So why not kind of go that way and then.
Absolutely. I think that's cool. So there's a Rallycross guy who's in Rally X Nordic, and his 600 horsepower, obviously, 4-wheel drive, and he is on Mads Osberg, and he's on 2 hand controls, so he's paralysed from the waist down. And he has one of them that's like the accelerated push kind of back forth gear change, and one of them that's directional. And it's like to sort of how he controls it, and he's so fast. Like, it's really amazing how he does it. But then obviously there's been a lot of bits he's had to go through to get the car signed off by the FIA, because obviously he's not books and all that. but obviously we'll get into that anyway. So yeah. Brilliant. Product looks awesome.
And that's kind of another
actually.
point as well that we wanted to touch on as well. That there was, as you say, there, Mads Augsburg had a lot of development in that car,
massive, and a lot of money into it.
Yeah, but where do you start from? So most of us started from a Mad Cat steering wheel attached to a PlayStation 2, with Colin McRae Rally on it. Whereas,
Logitech, massive. On mine, cheap and cheerful. Was the job. Right, cool. So I'll tell you what, let's get into the intro questions, see kind of you guys a little bit, and then we'll get on a bit more of that. So I suppose we may have two different answers here. Both. So what's one of your favourite cars of all time?
You want to go with that?
So many of them. I suppose
that's why it's one of, because I realised you say, what's your favourite? Well, I can't give a favourite because there's like 10. That would be my favourite.
I suppose it's Super Mark IV.
Yeah.
Would be one of them.
Excellent. Andy, if Andy was here, he would be nodding stupidly by now. He's a big Super lover. Love them. Perfect cars. And so let's say you had your Supra. Where would you love to drive it?
Oh, Japan.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Would you kind of go highway, sort of the loops, or in the mountains and togas?
I take a month. I do all.
I've got that. The AC mod of like the ring roads and everything.
Oh yeah,
awesome. Love it. Right, if you could choose any celebrity to be your co-driver, who would it be and why?
That's a mad question.
Thank you.
First person that came to my head, and I don't know why, would be Alan Milliard.
Okay, yeah.
I think it'd be just a calming,
definitely
personality beside you. You wouldn't get too, and he can fix anything then when it goes wrong.
That's quite funny. A lot of people go for like comedians because they feel like it'd just be funny. But then I like that car. Okay, so if you could compete in any motorsport event from the past, which one would it be and why? And that's going to be massive for you guys because obviously Ireland's got a massive motorsport love and heritage as well, or obviously internationally.
Yeah, any motorsport from the past. My God, the Pikes Peak before it was tarmacked.
Oh yeah, old school Pikes Peak. Yeah. That would be cool.
Yeah.
I must admit that's America's not really on any of them bucket list other than Pikes Peak week because it looks mental. It'd be. I think it'd be really really cool. Okay, so if you could create your own motorsport event, what would it be?
I could create my own motorsport event. What is there that hasn't been done in some fashion?
True. So we've had one mega drifting series. That was quite a good one, I thought, where they're all kind of level playing. Yeah. You're getting a lot of motorsport, but you don't get any kind of drifting. We had one where it was effectively like you'd have rally sprint sort of like shoot out into a circuit, into like a few different disciplines, but back to back kind of drive and stuff like that. So it's or a local Le Mans. So like local ring road, and just shut that down for a day.
Well, we couldn't have that over here. We're just rallying.
Yeah, true. That's it. Yeah, great. Going on a minute. Excellent. Right, and so the next one, the last one then. What's the funniest or most embarrassing thing that's happened to you in or around motorsport or cars? Is there anything that jumps out?
Rode off my Formula V car. First round I was ever out. Went past the start-finish line sideways.
Excellent. That's quite impressive in a Formula V. They're not known for rolling that much.
Seem impressive. Yeah, it was. I think it was over ambitious. I thought I was going to win it from the mid pack straight away, where a car stalled in front of me, managed to get the two front tires
Oh,
through. The two back tires are about 2 inches wider,
why
so
do
I
you? Yeah.
um, someone else's car tipped it up kind of sideways, and yeah,
Yeah, because you got
didn't
driven
total
wheels
it, but
as
it
well
was
hitting that.
hard.
Yeah, and you got driven wheels hitting that, so it was going to jump it up and kind of spread it around. Lovely.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Good answers. So, for obviously, we're going to go into a lot about kind of hands-on performance and how you guys kind of got there, and the development, and also I suppose some of the issues you probably got with, funding, kind of, marketing of this, with it being obviously quite a niche product. But I suppose before that, then a little bit about you too, in terms of where was your kind of love for either sim racing or motorsport, and kind of how did that come about with you both?
I think it's quite. I think the same story from any Irish person you'll ask is
Hmm.
rallying, because it
Yeah,
goes past your door,
yeah,
and you'll always know you'll have family that are in it. Now, none of my immediate family are in motorsport, so I was the first to kind of pick up the bug
okay,
really
cool.
and actually run with it. Um, and yeah, like I have a brother-in-law who's in rallying. Um, like it's it's still a very small community here,
Hmm.
whereas you'll know so many people. You go to Mondello and you meet your neighbor that you didn't realize is into racing and that kind of stuff. So it kind of, for me, it was it was rallying, and then it was drifting back in
Hmm.
the early 2000s, when it kind of got started, and then kind of drifting here kind of fell off. So we kind of, nothing happened for a while. Nothing happened. It kept going, but it kept going in the background. Um, Kind of after the recession and everything, everyone had to sell their cars, and same as that. And my sister then in 2010 got me one of those days in Mondello to do the racing school. And that was the end of it.
Yeah,
That was, I was like, sell everything. I have to go racing. So
definitely.
popped from the car and went down that way. As sim racing, so sim racing was a bit of a weird one to get into for me, because I knew I wanted to. But I had started designing parts, and I wanted to do motorsport. And I was like, there's no one going to trust me out of the blue to put parts on their car.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it's very difficult to test everything. Whereas
Yes,
sim racing was getting so big, and I was looking, I was like, well, that's essentially the same thing with different inputs. So we kind of
yes,
started with
and
steering
different
wheels and that.
stressors, and yeah,
Yeah. So started with steering wheels and that, and then it kind of just progressed from there, really. Um, and I suppose the draw of having a business was then to earn enough money to go spend it all on stupid cars again. So it all kind of
the only way to live life. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's interesting. Yeah, I know with obviously like Irish motorsport and rallying is so massive, and obviously over here in England, you hear an awful lot about the Irish rallying, and it's always, and obviously we're getting a lot of the sort of rallycross as well. Obviously, you've got Mondello, you're getting quite a few obviously driving over here, and then we get a lot of the cross cars now as well, and like all the rally sprint stuff,
Mm.
and it looks great. And I mean, and then you've got people like Drift Games, who have kind of there's certainly been a lot of people kind of knowing about the drift community, I guess, over there, although now they're branching out and what have you. That's very cool.
Yeah,
So is your
they've done it all.
background? Yeah, real shame what's happened to him recently, but there still seem to be, obviously, bouncing back.
That'll only
New
drive them harder.
projects. Yeah, that's it, definitely. They have got a hell of a team. I do enjoy their. I always think, what's my end goal? I want a channel like that based on Rallycross. Perfect. And just general interviews, and then have that other side. But yeah, they've done very well, definitely. Um, so, are you kind of got an engineering or product design background then? Um, is that kind of where you sort of come from in that regard? I'm curious to this
So
because my
yeah, well,
my background's engineering, although I'm not actually trained in engineering. But that's kind of a lot was my design of building engineering products. So yeah, kind of curious on that journey for you.
Quite similar to yours, I'd say. Whereas I've an automotive technology degree,
Mhm.
so that's where I was straight out of school. I was like, what do I do? It was either computers or cars at that time. Um, well, it was usually computer. You went the computer route, and I just said, well, I know cars, and I'll do that. And I had been kind of all my summer jobs and stuff were in a local Ford dealership here. So went in, did automotive technology, went back. I started working for Hertz Rent a Car. Started behind the desk, and then I was retrained then for insurance assessment. So started doing that for them. Did that for a good few years, and then just kind of I always self-taught engineer from a very young age. So I was always a kid that was taking stuff apart and building. Like, we have a farm here, so like, we were always building something.
Nice.
So the need to start designing was kind of too strong. I said I have to go back and I have to retrain. So retrain then in computer aided design and stuff like that. So then I'd have the tools to actually,
perfect.
do the product design and just started kind of designing stuff, putting my name out. Then we kind of got picked up by guys here, Digital Motorsports. We were selling a lot of sim racing equipment. I got a lot of work from them, which kind of led into this, where we were in Autosport in 2019 with those guys. And there was a lot of guys in wheelchairs that were in Autosport, and we kind of said, wouldn't it be cool? Yeah, to start. Right. Yeah. Okay. So that's where that got started. Is that we kind of took on the work then of trying to figure out how do you actually go about it.
Yeah,
And
also it's
then obviously
interesting
how
that you,
does
like you say, you saw that issue, you saw that thing kind of going on, and very much like, there's something that's not being catered for, which I suppose is the start of any business. You need a problem, and to kind of see that, and that's interesting. Like you say, at Autosport, it's running through. So, and you've kind of got that mix, and so you've obviously got I suppose, like in my direction of CAD 3D design, all that element. Then you've got the electronics with yourself, Howard. So it's kind of this perfect partnership coming together.
Yeah, well, we went and got a master's in business as well. So
that's always handy.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah.
So what was that initial kind of?
That's what we were supposed to be good.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good. I was going to say, it's a good partnership, like you say. You got the business, you got the electrics, you got all that going on. So what was that kind of initial conversations, I suppose, with you? Obviously, you'd seen this at Autosport, and you thought, look, there's an area here, there's a need, there's a demand to some degree. What was that kind of initial sort of, I suppose, startup for you like? Like, what was the conversations? What was the kind of planning? What was your going through your minds then?
Well, at the time, it was in Digital Motorsport was Niall Mars, the CEO of that at the time, and he kind of said, wouldn't it be cool to be able to actually provide for everyone? Because obviously they were selling sim race equipment, they wanted to be able to sell to everyone, not just without saying it without saying it. People who have money for it, and so like. That was another interest. Well, there was another element as well where I found out very quickly that I wasn't really interested in selling expensive things to people who bought them because they could afford them. That it was much more rewarding to actually provide something that actually people would use and would be, a bit more grateful for.
Yeah, I get that. So I think that's really interesting.
So the initial conversation that I would go ahead then and develop this and turn into us building the business and kind of doing everything from the ground up then.
Right.
Kind of realizing along the way that, as you said, Derry alluded to with the funding, anytime we kind of went to anyone and we had gone through lot of doorways, I won't say two.
We went through an accelerator program.
Yeah.
A business accelerator program.
Yeah, which they didn't get it. So what they want to see is a big return on an investment, which is understandable. That's how business works. And because we were the first in the world to do it. There is guys who will, if you go to them, they will make hand controls for you. People who are capable of doing that, but in a meaningful way, not in a meaningful way, but in a kind of a more, you go online and buy your products and then set up your sim race, and there was none of that. So we didn't have anyone to show as an example. We couldn't really, they couldn't really see where the money was going to come from and how much was going to be there.
Yeah.
So then they couldn't give us anything. They thought, yeah, it was a nice idea. You're doing stuff was great. And I was like, no, it's serious. It's an actual serious business here. We're trying to, establish here. So we kind of relied on our strengths as well are doing a lot with nothing. So that's what we did. We did a lot with nothing. And we kind of figured out how to make the stuff without spending hundreds of thousands, because we didn't have it, which wasn't an option. So it was all kind of locally sourced, laser cut stainless, 3D printed parts. Figured out all the electronics ourselves. We used the kind of off the shelf boards then to interface with simulation. We're like the Leo Bodner boards, what we have in the first batch, and that's where it kind of got started. And yeah, we just kept on trucking, but it gave us so much freedom then to kind of figure out how it's going to work. Another problem was, and that we kind of continuously see, as you said at the start, everyone's different. So there is no one size fits all. And the different in abilities so vast that we're fighting.
Right, we're back. Might be a little disjointed, but we're going off on where we can remember after it all crashed. Sorry. So you were just saying, Howard.
So I suppose we were talking about meeting Paddy Croak. He was Ireland's kind of first national wheelchair driving rally driver.
He's the only one to hold a racing license in the country who was in a wheelchair. Yeah.
So we met Paddy, met his family, just a great crowd of people, big into the rallying as well. And I suppose he opened our eyes into the challenges, I suppose, that he kind of faced that we didn't consider. I suppose that kind of really brought us to the user-led design part of the business. So, because before we were designing what we think was needed rather than actually listening to somebody's needs and then designing around that. So Paddy has really kind of opened your eyes to it more. So it's even getting in and out of a rally car with a roll cage.
Yeah.
It's not considerations that we'd be thinking of. It's something that he has to focus on. So,
that's really interesting. I suppose because I was thinking actually the other day, I think in the BTRD Rallycross is a 5-second rule to getting out of your car. And I was like, well, how do you do? But then, you've got to go through that. But then it's the same as anybody who's racing. They've got to be able that ability. And it's interesting what you say about the end user and having your, like you say, the knowledge from somebody. Because what we found is in a lot of ways in kind of building a site design is that often there's a want to do something better to help people, but there isn't what actually is the issue. Because obviously, if you're not firsthand seeing it, and in this society and culture we have, and historically, you've had a lot of barriers in place. So I think that's quite interesting that you then got, that end user requirement and need so that they can go. And have you been able to kind of reach out to, and have people kind of testing and seeing what have you managed to? Has it been a generally good reception from people?
Generally good, yeah. And there's always they're always happy that it actually feels like, there's a bit of give in it, like,
Yeah.
it feels like something a bit more serious. But it always inevitably, could we adapt it this way, or I have this, and let's say my left hand isn't as strong, and I need to do this, and it kind of leads us into where we think, well, where we're going now is because of this one size doesn't fit all thing, that we're actually going to kind of open up the designs more to open source stuff, and actually allow and educate people on how they can adapt our controls to suit their needs. And we also want to provide more designs that could actually be downloaded, 3D printed at home, adapted for their own.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really, really good. I
Yeah.
think that's, I'm a fan of open source, and you can see it in things like Speedrino ECUs, Arduino boards, Raspberry Pis, etc. And I think that potential, and especially 3D printers are becoming so common and so affordable now, that if you can do that, you can have these base products and you could develop. You could literally give, I think of a young kid who's seeing all this stuff and really wants to do that, not even just a driver, but has the potential to actually now be able to get something, adapt it, and make it. I think that's so cool. I think that's a really cool. Like you say, I suppose it's that different business model in some degree, because it's not just all about profit. And
so that's
Well, I suppose we're lucky in the fact. Yeah, we're lucky in the fact that we've both got jobs, so profit hasn't been the main focus of it. And I suppose even the enthusiasm we've seen through our customers and the excitement of when they get it and when they can use it and it works, it's just fantastic. And then I suppose the more we've spoken about it, like everybody we've sold one to has come back with, oh, if it could do this and it could do that. So there's definitely a kind of a maker or builder community there that we could tap into.
And there was a couple of customers and stuff that we had that engaged with us, who had said, "Oh, I'm going to do this with it. I'm going to adapt it, so I'm going to use that as a base." And we're like, we just have to open it up now. We're like, if they had to wait for me to design every single possibility, we'd never have anything. Whereas we can give them a good base, and then we can quite quickly just put up designs. If we don't have to worry about the manufacturing, we can just keep putting them up. So that's kind of from now. That's where we're going to be focusing on.
Yeah,
that's really interesting.
I suppose we even seen the universal kind of one of our HC1s went as a throttle for somebody using a flight simulator.
Oh yeah, okay.
So that's what they. So it's not just racing; it's just the functionality of a lever, like to some people. So it's, there's a lot left on tap, like that we haven't even looked into or thought about yet.
Quite a lot of them were sold as handbrakes as well, just simple handbrakes.
Okay, yeah, interesting.
And then you have where you have your normal. If you just turn it around, like it's a normal handbrake, but you could also. You can see some of the drifters now as well. They have a two-way handbrakes in the car.
Okay, yeah.
They push it to give it a foot brake while they can still clutch kick. So it's like a third leg, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Interesting. No, it's very cool.
Kind of like really coming back with all of these ideas, and they're just telling us what they're using it for. You can never underestimate, what people are going to do with your product. We knew that from the start, that like what we think it is not going to always be what it is to other people, but we were kind of overwhelmed by the response, that people were so excited about it, and then they could kind of figure out their own way of doing stuff, which is great. So we're kind of going to lean into that now, and provide what wanted, not what we think is needed.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose that's it. If you have something that's modular, or like you say, you've got the open source of plans, and people can then modify to their requirement and need, that the possibilities are endless. and having, and then also it gives you areas where you can develop the base product more. See, there's more testing, there's more things going on. Okay, can we improve that? Can we do this a little bit? And I think that is a really, I mean, it's obviously you are going to reach as many people as you possibly can, but I think that's a really good sort of view on that. So obviously initially you were having a lot of, I suppose, funding. It was very much yourselves. You're having to kind of put that through. How have you found, obviously, R&D between yourselves and getting it tested, but then when it's come to the manufacturing side of things, has it again been a similar story? Because obviously very quickly the cost can spiral, and certainly then when you're marketing, the cost can spiral. So how have you dealt with that element of it when you actually got the kind of the products initially and was making them? Did you find that you obviously, grants or availability or people even just manufacturing, how was that journey?
Again, because we didn't have the money, there was no one coming forward with any money. And I mean, not when coming forward, I mean, we were putting ourselves out there for it. And kind of the main areas that you would go with funding, obviously we were going with Enterprise Ireland, and that they did bring us on a good deal and kind of opened our eyes to a lot of kind of pitfalls that we could have gone into that we didn't. So we kind of wanted to obviously retain complete control because we knew we were going to have to move fast, and if something wasn't working, that we could turn around and go the other way. So money wasn't an element; it wasn't there. So we kind of looked to like that's laser cut stainless steel that I get done locally, half an hour away from the house here. The rest of it's 3D printed, and just nuts and bolts and some wiring that we all do here ourselves. So we managed to kind of keep the cost down there. So there's I'd say there's very little development cost. It was like a good shot of our wages for a while goes into it. But like you can't count that really. It's like building a car. Don't.
Yeah.
Just it'll start making money. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. So like we don't owe anyone any money. So the business isn't in debt. It owes me a little bit of money, but that's yeah. So it kind of, and because we started out that way, it actually makes it a hell of a lot easier then to move on in the open source way. Because if we can do it here locally, anyone can do it anywhere around the world.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say that as well, that if you did have, any other kind of controlling parties to some degree, how would you necessarily convince them that this is the direction you want to go? Because obviously, if you think of a generic business plan and a capital business plan, open source isn't necessarily the way you want to go. But like you say, you still have the base product to be able to send out. You still have that product. It's then the adaptation on top of that, which I suppose is that kind of relatively unique and
there will always be people who need to. Yeah, there will always be people who want to, like, we can provide the electronics packages. There are always people that won't want to bother figuring that out.
Yeah.
We'll still continue to develop base products that then could be adapted, but we'll leave them so that they can be added on, taken away.
Yeah.
It's put on, bits taken off. So there'll always be that freedom of that you can pick and choose your combination of what works for you.
Yeah, that I suppose that design element from the start of the modular system, adaptability is a very, I think, sustainability kind of model of design. Nothing is going to necessarily be used for the same purpose forever. So how do you allow for adaptability and modular development, which I think is really, really interesting that you've kind of naturally, like you say, come to that. So what does the future then, I suppose, as a business of hands-on performance look like? Or obviously you're going to go to the blockchain, the open source element. you're going to go to this kind of module. Are you looking at different elements, different products as well? Is the kind of things whirling around in the brains? Like you're doing this and then seeing? Or are you like me, where you have a new idea every 5 hours?
Yeah. Took a while before we settled on this one.
And then you forget the ones that we had last week.
Yes.
Every time I think someone is introduced to this and they look at it, the first question is not about sim racing, is can I put that in a car?
Yes.
So I think we'll have to.
Definitely.
We have we have the development car outside. We just haven't been able to put the stuff into it, but yeah, it should be going into the car.
That's really cool. I'm kind of glad you've sort of gone that. But that obviously opens up its own unique issues and problems, developing with something where, especially if it's racing, it's over here, MSUK or Ireland, you've got different, I suppose, legal aspects to a lot of degrees. You've got different forces, different kind of things. There's a lot. So again, I'm assuming it's going to be a kind of you guys having to really push it yourself. And fund it, and I think that's going to be really exciting. I'm looking forward to that. That could be really good.
We'll keep you posted.
Yeah, definitely. So you got my brain whirling now. I'm thinking of like other forces. How are you going to connect it up?
You get into a car, you can come over to Mondello someday.
Definitely. To be honest, I really want to get over to Mondello. So obviously, did the Rallycross over there, and it looks a great track. And obviously, I've seen the drifting over there, and I've never been to Ireland. I really want to. So obviously the British Rallycross guys are going over there next month after. It's the joint Irish Rallycross and Five Nations British Rallycross, and my mate's going over in the minis.
It's a good track as well.
Yeah, it looks really cool. It's definitely on my
element of tarmac and loose.
Yes, yeah, that's it. So the car I've got because I'm in production Rallycross, doesn't necessarily lend it, but hopefully, I say hopefully, it's all down to money, isn't it? The next car will be a lot of fun. I'll suit it well, and I'm still dreaming that's going to happen at some point. So yeah, definitely, I'd love to give that a try and do some videos. And yes, I'm desperate to get back to rear-wheel drive. It was a long time ago. I'm not going to. I don't have 32 GTSD. Loved every minute of it. I miss it every day. It's like this bad memory that pops up first thing in the morning, and that's why I need my coffee to kind of get me going through the day. But we'll get back there one day, definitely. This has been really interesting, guys. I've loved it. I suppose, yeah, and I'm really excited to say as you develop it, one from this open source, I think, as a way of making a difference to people's, lives who have the passions of like we do. And that's it. Some people may not understand it, but there's a lot of people who want to do what we do and they can't. And, it's great to go and do some sim driving, sim racing, like I say, practice, drifting, be that rallying, be that whatever kind of racing. And the idea that potentially, working towards the in-car built element to make an accessible way of delivering that. And obviously it's going to be a lot of late nights, a lot of hard work, a lot of talking with the motorsport bodies, but that is really, really cool. And my hat off to you both. I think that's fantastic. I'm really excited for that following. So yeah, I guess we'll end it there. We've kind of gone through it. It's been really good. Thank you for coming on. We'll have, obviously, it's handsonperformance.ie and so I'll have that obviously below. We'll obviously have your Instagram as well, and everybody please do go check them out, and I really look forward to the future. So I will stop the recording. Thank you very much, guys, and we'll see everybody else next week.